Hello, everybody. Okay, I'm going to show you a little trick here on how I color on my Procreate iPad. I'm getting so many people asking me how to actually do it, and I'm going to do a color along so you can actually color along this whole picture with me. Okay, so let's just start from the very beginning, okay, of how I do this. What you do is you grab here where the little plus sign is. You take the little plus sign and you pick the square. It's 2048 by 2048, and you get a brand new square picture. Okay, now what I'm doing for you guys is I'm making you little brushes for my artwork so you can make your coloring pages. So for example, you hit your paintbrush here, and I'm going to pick this little coloring paintbrush right here. I have it under flower wreaths. I'm going to make these downloadable to you. I'm going to have a whole bunch of different wreaths and things like that, or little motifs or however. And then what you can do is, if you want to make a coloring page, you're going to hit the little hit the paintbrush like that, and then you're just going to they're just a stamp. So you stamp it. Now that determines how if you could see how it's stamping at different sizes. That's the pressure of your pencil itself. And then you want to hit your little arrow here. See this little arrow here? Click that, and then that'll make it so you can adjust it to fit on your page. So if you hit your arrow like that, and then let's say you want it to be like about that big, and you want to center it on your paper, okay? So there you go. So now you just made a stamp, and that was that easy. Now it's done. Now in order to start coloring it, you need to create a new layer so that you won't mess up the original that's underneath. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit your little layer button here. This is your layers. Click your layer and hit this plus sign. See the plus sign? Click that. Then here where the little n is, that means normal. What we want to do is we want to change this to multiply. Multiply is going to mean that when you color on it, like let's say we go to a palette. Let's say when you color on it like this, you can, oh, you got to change your brush. Go back to your brush, and I pick the airbrush, and I will go with the soft airbrush. Okay, so when you are coloring it, you can see that underneath, you can still see the pictures underneath, okay? You can still see what's under there. If you didn't have that, then it would just be completely solid. So let me show you how that looks. So let's say you switch this back to normal, okay, the way it was before, and then you color on it, right? If you color on it, you see now when you're coloring it, you can't see anything underneath. But if you change this to multiply, okay, now it reveals what's underneath here. Then what I do is, I'm going to get rid of that. Now what I'm going to do here is go back to layer 1 on this first layer. And the first thing you're going to do is just click that as a reference. Okay, that means that this can't get ruined. That way your first layer down here won't get ruined. Okay, so now we're going to just start coloring. So I'm going to pick a color here. And what I'm going to do is let's create a palette for you too. I'm going to make the palette so that way you can download this palette that I'm creating, and you can have the same exact colors as I'm using, and then you can just color along with me. Okay, so download the palette and install it on your iPad, and then you'll have this palette. It'll be called Flower Wreath number 1, okay? And so here we go. So I'm going to pick, I want a pink color, so let's go with this one, this pink here. So let me go and add this to your palette. See, I added it to your palette right here. All right, and I'm just going to start coloring. So see, what I do here is I'm going to adjust the size of my brush, and this is the opacity level. This is what makes it, how much this is all the way full, meaning it's going to be like this. And if I turn it down, it'll be like this. It's a lot lighter. So you can play with your opacity level as to how much you want to put the color in. All right. So let's get rid of that. So I'm going to put opacity maybe right around there. So. And I'm going to just kind of get in here like this. And I'm going to show you why it doesn't matter if you're that messy. Okay, you could just put your colors in like so. Now I could see by doing this that somehow I forgot to make sure that this was back on multiply. So let's make sure it's back on multiply. Okay, so now I just lay the colors in. And like I say, it doesn't matter if you're messy. Just throw your color in. Now you're going to take this little smudge brush right here. And with the smudge brush, you just see how I'm blending that all in. It blends it all in so nicely, right? Look at that, blends it in really great. And then what we're going to do is if you want to clean it up, you grab your little eraser tool and you can go in and you can clean up all the areas. That's why I was saying it doesn't matter if you're messy, okay? You could just clean it up like so. All right, so don't worry about how you put it in, like, you know what I mean, if it's messy, because you can go in and clean it up, you see. All right, so let's begin. I just wanted to give you a quick thing. So now I'm going to actually color along. Okay, so now we're just going to kind of blend that in. And then let's do this on all the petals, the same kind of, just so that they kind of look the same a little bit here. Now there's a different way you could do this too. I'm using a soft airbrush. I do have a little a graphite pencil that we can use as well if you want it to have it look more like colored pencils. And let me show you that technique here too. Okay, so let's blend this in. Okay. Okay, I'm just blending it in here like that, like so. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to show you something here. I mean, I don't want to give you too much information at once, you know, I don't want to freak you guys out, but here's the brushes here. If you go, and I will create a shading brush for you. So here's shading, and I'm going to pick this shading graphite right here, the second one, okay? And if you'll see the difference here when you're coloring with it, you can see how it gives it more of a texture like that. So if you like it to look a little bit more rough, you can use the shading like that. And then when you blend it, you want to make sure on the smudge mode that you're still on that shading graphite. Use that same one. That way when you blend it, it gives you that same effect, you know, so you won't the shading brush is kind of similar in texture to the brush that you're using, so it keeps that same little rough type look, you know. So we'll just stick with the shading brush for now, just because you guys are probably used to colored pencils, and so we're trying to migrate us into the whole digital world, especially now with the coronavirus, that most people are staying at home, and I mean, everything's going digital, so, I mean, this is the way, the new normal, I guess. Okay, so, now some of you guys obviously still like coloring on regular colored pencils, but this is just a little technique for you to do. And, like, you know, if you're going somewhere or you just want to, you know, sit in your living room and color and not have to bring all your pencils and your sharpeners and all that stuff, you can just sit down and just play around on your iPad and make a beautiful picture. All right, now let's take let's go with like a canary. It would be similar to a canary yellow. So that's more like a hot pink, and this would be a canary yellow if you were using colored pencils. But I'm going to add a little bit of yellow in here, and then I'm going to kind of smudge it in. See? Smudge it in. Okay. And then I'm going to smudge this in here. Okay, and I will show you how to use our new layers at some point, because you're going to want to add another layer at some point, because you don't want to ruin what's already there. So if you add another layer, it'll protect what's underneath, just like I showed you before. It'll protect what's underneath, and you can add color without messing up the other areas. And I'll show you what I mean by that here when we get moving along. Okay. So we're going to add a little bit of yellow and some in here. Let's add some more canary yellow in here. And then smudge it. Okay. All right. And then maybe you want to have, you know, some areas darker, some areas lighter. You can always just keep messing around with it until you're happy. I think we're going to add a little bit of, oh, I need to put that color in here for you. There's your canary yellow. Okay, now let's add a little bit of this blue. Let's see if I like that blue. Just a little bit. This would be similar to like a light aqua. And I want to add, just to add a little bit of variety to the piece, you know. I like to mix it up a little bit and have, you know, nice variance of colors. Just makes it a little bit more interesting. And then I'm just going to blend it in. All right, that's kind of like a little rainbowy type look. You know, I mean, we can use that. I'm going to grab a yellow here that we used and put it in here. And I'm going to grab some of that pink again and put it in here. And then I'll blend that in. Okay. All right. Now, you can either choose to do your cleanup now with your eraser. See, if I take my eraser tool, I can just come right in here like this, and I can just go around and I can clean up the flower. Or you can wait till the end, or, you know, whatever your preference is on when you want to do your cleanup. Now, I know that there's probably a million different ways to color on this Procreate app, but I didn't have any time to watch all the videos on all these crazy graphic styles, because I'm still old school, you know, and so I just figured this out. So this is like my own method. This is what I do, and so however, you know, new methods there are, maybe there's better ones, I don't know, but this is just the way I do it, and it works for me. And once you get used to doing it, it's so much fun. And it's so forgiving too. Like if you go over it and you make a mistake, you just hit your erase button, and then your undo button, and then you could just go back in. So if you mess up, like if you go in a little over like that, don't worry about it. You just go undo it and then come back in. And the great thing about this is you could get up close too. So see, if you want to enlarge it and you really want to, you know, get into fine details, you know, you can you can do that easily. Like with my eyes, you know, with colored pencils, and I'm coloring little teeny leaves, I can really get some good detail by just, you know, getting close up, and I can make each leaf look like awesome, you know. But with the colored pencils, you know, it's so small you can't really see what you're doing, you know. But like this, it's like having a microscope on your picture. You could get all the details you want, so you could really create some awesome stuff. And there's different textures, like there's paintbrushes that you can download that'll have textures on them. So like if you want to have a, you know, texture on your flowers, you can. And I mean, you can really go crazy with this and have so much fun. This is like having an entire art studio right on your fingertips, okay? So for the purpose of this video, I don't really need to do every single flower. I'm just going to kind of show you, you know, that technique there on that flower. Now, if you want to do maybe some leaves, I need to get you some greens in here. So let's go with maybe that green. And maybe this would be similar to maybe a apple green and a dark green, maybe, or purple. I don't know. I don't have time to go and this isn't going to be a Prismacolor teaching. It's going to be how to do it on Procreate. So I have your palettes already going here for the colors that I've been using. If you want to follow along, you can. Okay, so maybe we want to add some dark in here. I mean, I'm not going to do real advanced coloring on this one. I'll do some maybe more advanced ones later, but because for this one, I just kind of want to get you going on it. And maybe I want to add a little bit of this would be similar to a lime peel. So I'm going to add a little bit of that in here. And maybe put some of that in here. Now notice I left some white there, just for, you know, some highlights to go on there. Okay. And then let's maybe make let me give you a light yellow so you can have a nice variety on your palette. I'll give you let's give you this one. So we'll put in a little bit of yellow in here. So you now have what's similar. This is more like a deco yellow. So you kind of have a deco yellow and a canary yellow kind of thing. But like I say, it's not really Prismacolor colors. But it kind of is, but when you're on Procreate, you can make any color you want. That's what's so great about it. You could just go crazy. You've got millions and millions of colors you can choose from. You just make them up. And you just get these palettes, and you can go in here and change it. Like, let's say we wanted this yellow to be lighter. You can go in here and say, okay, I want it to be a really light yellow. And then you can make a light yellow, and then you can add it to your palette if you want. So you can do so much with this. Once you get started, it's really hard to go back to regular coloring, because it's just so easy and so convenient, you know. Okay, let's add a little bit of orange in here. Just like, again, just for a little bit of variety. Okay. There you go. I mean, okay. You can, if you want a little bit darker green on the bottom, you can just do that and then just smudge it and bring it in like so. Okay, so there you go. Those are some leaves for you there. So you would just continue on and use those colors and finish all the leaves. And another trick here, let's say you want to do this whole stem. Grab your paint and just drag it right into the middle and hold it. Okay, and I see it. See the little threshold is going up and down. I'm moving my pen to the right and pen to the left. If I keep going a little bit more and until it's filled in, I could see some areas, because it's so small, you see how it's not filling in all the way. So some areas might be a little bit too small to use that fill method, but I kind of wanted to show you that that is available, you know, if you want to do something cool like that. And then maybe add some more lime peel in here. Okay, so I just kind of give the stem a little highlight. And then, of course, for me, this cleaning up part is the funnest part because it's very, very soothing and relaxing to go in and clean it up, you know. It's like watching your picture just come to life, because, you know, if you messed up, you can just blend it in and then you can just clean it. And it's so fun. You can tell I love this thing, huh? I totally do. I'm obsessed with coloring on this thing. And it's so easy for me to draw on it, too. Okay, so there's how you do some leaves. Now, let's say in here you want to add maybe some white tip highlights. So I took my eraser tool to get, this is my eraser, and just to clear some of that up, to get my little smudging tool. The smudger tool is what really does a lot of this work for you. And see, now you can really lighten up these tips and make them so that they're a little bit more lighter. See, go in here, and then, and that's what's so great about it. You can just turn the paper to fit you, you know, to your needs, to however you know, whatever your drawing style is. Everyone's different, but I like to have my work, I turn my work around a lot. See, now see how I'm just nicely blending that in, just to give it a kind of like a highlight, because it was too pink on the sides. Make it look like it's a little highlight here. Okay, just like this. See? And you just keep playing around until you're just really happy with how it looks. I think maybe we can add a little red. I think I'm going to give you some red in your palette, in this palette, so you can have a little bit more variety here of colors. So I'm just blending this in. And you can remember, you can mess around with the opacities, you know. This one is full on because I'm using the eraser tool, but, you know, you can always, like, let's say I turn this opacity down, okay? See now, if you could see how much lighter that white would be, and then you can just blend that in like that, depending on how you set your opacity. But if you have full opacity level, then you're going to get the whole, you know, then it's a solid situation. See how this is way more solid of a white? So you just have to play around, you know, whatever your style is. And you play around with this too. This is the size of your blender. So the smaller it is, the more you can see the blending. So I like, you know, you want to make it fairly big so you can see the little circle there, so you can see kind of how big it is. But you can mess around with that size too, you know, make it bigger or smaller depending on how far you're zooming in, you know. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of red, I think, just so you can, like I say, you can have that on your palette. So there's a nice red for you. Let's throw some in here, like a little shadows, maybe along the sides, on the bottoms. Okay, just so you can have a little bit, some oomph, you know, gives a little bit more color going on there. A little bit of red, if you want. Okay. Just blending it. Okay. It's kind of hard because you're not actually seeing my pencil. You're just seeing the work that's getting done. So makes it a little bit trickier to kind of see what I'm doing. But hopefully you can figure it out as you color along with me. You can see how I'm doing this. I'm just laying the color in and then just shading it out. All right. Now for the middle, maybe we'll just take one of our yellows. Okay. And let's put a yellow in here. Then I'm going to give you a shade for that too. Let's get something that would be similar to like a goldenrod that I had. Let's try that one. And let's make sure I put that in your palette right there. Okay. And so I'm going to just kind of maybe go on the outside like that and shade that in. And then if you want to give it a little highlight, you know, you can make a nice little highlight here. Shade that in. Depending on how much highlight you want, you know. That's what's so great about this. And see, now I'm making this a little smaller on my blending tool, so it's not quite so big, because this is a smaller section. So you have to mess around with your shading and your blending and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm just cleaning this up here, these leaves here, because these are little hydrangeas. What we got going here. You don't really even have to do that. You can just color right in over it, but I'm doing it just because I like to keep my work clean as I go along. So every time I finish a flower, I want it to be like almost done. I usually go back in and I'll play around with them after, but I try to get them pretty much done. Okay, now I think I'm going to show you something here. Another technique. So now back to this white area down here. There's another way you could do that. That was one way of adding the white tips. But let's say you want to add another one, and let me show you a trick. So get a new layer, hit the plus sign right here. You have a new layer. And you want to do the same thing. Always turn it to multiply so you can see what's underneath. Then when you take your airbrush, what you can do is you can make it bigger. Make it bigger. And then switch, and then use instead of using the eraser tool, switch the color to white. So you go over here to your classic mode. This is your disc mode. This is classic mode. I like classic mode because I can see it a lot better. So I'm going to go right over here and make sure it's the far left top, and that'll make a white. Then what I can do is I can come in here and spray it. Okay, now depending on how high I have my opacity level, that's going to determine how much of the white I'm actually laying on there. But that's how you can do that. Okay, so I'm gonna just go get rid of this layer. So I just slide it over and hit delete, and now I'm back to my second layer. I like just working on mainly the main one. That's kind of, you know, the way that I do it. I just like working on one layer and just kind of keeping it nice, working as I go along, like so. All right. And so maybe we could put the middle, maybe use that red, maybe in here. You know, you can play around with this all day until you're happy with how they look. Now, for your hydrangeas, let's say we're going to do it in a blue, so that way I'll give you some blues. I'll give you the blues. Let's do, let's try this blue, okay, as the dark blue. So I'm going to add some dark blue in here. Okay, and then I'm not even going to blend it yet. I'm just going to add in the blue areas where I want it, the dark to go. Okay, then maybe I'll have it a little darker as we get in towards the middle. And like I say, it doesn't matter how it looks yet because we're not doing any blending. So let's put here, where's our palette here? Right here, this is our default palette right here. Let me tile this. I'm going to title this Flower Wreath. Whoops. Flower Wreath. And I'm going to name this 1. So that will be the palette for that. Now we'll know that that is for the palette leaf. So I'm going to share this. And the way I do that is I go like this, and I go to the right, and I hit this share button right here. And that will be able for me to have it available for you to download on Etsy, okay? So all these colors you'll be able to have. Okay, so now I'm going to grab another, like a lighter blue. So I'm going to use, let's go to this blue. Let me make sure I give this color to you. Okay, so there's your blue. If you like it, you can always go back and you can alter it, but at least it's somewhere to start with. And remember how I said how you alter it, you would just click the little palette right here, the little circle, and then go in here where your palette is, and then go into your classic mode. And like if you want it to be a little lighter, you can make it lighter. So whatever color I give you, that's just the starting point of it. You can go and alter it however you want after. Or, you know, you can, that one color I give you, you can make into a lot of different colors. So now I'm going to smudge this again. Now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, the smudge tool, a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to start kind of blending it all together. You can also blend it as you go along, too. You don't have to do it the way I just did it. You can, we'll do that on the next flower. Okay, we're going to need... let's get a purple. So I'm going to grab maybe this purple here. Let's see. And I'm going to maybe add a little purple in here in some of these areas. Like I say, I like things to be a little bit, you know, different colors to add like more interest. The reason I chose the purple is because it's complementary to the blue. So if you want to pick colors that kind of melt together nicely. But I mean, again, it doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want. You're the artist. Whatever makes you happy. All right, and I think I'll make the middle purple. And then I'll just kind of blend that out a little. There we go. Just give it a little bit of interest. Okay. Now you could take your time and make as much of this detail as you like. So if you want to go in and, you know, really start doing some more shading, you can just take your time, and you can really start adding lots of really good detail. Just depends on how much time you got and how long you want to spend. But, you know, there's no rush. There's no fire. You know, you're coloring for your enjoyment. And, you know, you can give these away. You can make greeting cards out of it, whatever. So just take your time and enjoy yourself. That's what it's about, right? Maybe I'll make the middle green. Maybe I'll use one of these greens. Let's see what that looks like. That's a good thing about it. You can try different colors, and if you don't like them, you can switch them out. Maybe I'll do green. Like, okay, I'm going to make it a little smaller here so it doesn't get on my other area. And then I'll highlight it maybe with a little bit of yellow. Okay, so that looks kind of good. Let's do that. And maybe let's add a little bit of yellow in here just so it kind of ties everything together. Give it a little bit more interest, huh? All right. Maybe add a little over here. All right. There we go. It's blended nicely. All right. So then you just go through and do the same thing to all of the flowers. Now, if you wanted, as far as like backgrounds go, if you want to have an interesting oh, you know what? I want to make sure I give you more colors before I show you this. So you've got some greens, and you got some yellows, and you got some reds. Let's give you maybe over here, let's get some more purples going for your palette here. So let's see, we can have this purple here. Okay. Just filling this in here. Okay, and that was the one I already gave you, but let's say we want a little darker purple. I'll give you a darker purple too, so you can come in here and okay, make a nice, start getting your shades and your colors together a little bit. And then let's see, so we have dark purple. Now let's see if I can give you a little bit lighter of a purple here. I just want to give you a nice variety of palette colors to work with. You need a nice lighter purple. Let's go with like this one. So let's put this on your palette, okay? So now you have a nice looking little palette there to get started with here. So let's say you want to add a little bit of that lighter purple in here. I'm not going all the way to the tip, if you notice, because I like to maybe leave it a little bit white. So now I'm going to start blending. That's the fun part, blending. Blending is what kind of makes it all tied together. Now you can leave it rough like that. Like if you like the way that the rough look looks, because it looks a lot more like colored pencils if you leave it rough. You could do that too, obviously. Just don't blend it in. Or just blend it in a little bit. And that happens with this opacity. See, I have it on the full amount here. I could turn it down and then it won't be as blended. It'll be a little bit more rough. So it just depends on what you like. I like to just add a little bit of shade in there just so it's not quite so dark everywhere. All right, now I'm gonna add a little bit more of that dark back in. Just a little bit back in here. See, I mean, you can get all these details, and if you really want to get in, you can make it bigger, and you can really get in and see what you're doing. I mean, you can really create some awesome little masterpieces here. Let's say you want to give it a little highlight, so we'll just do these little tips in white, right? So now it's got a nice little highlight, and we'll do the same thing. We're just going to blend it out. See? That way it's nice and blended. Okay. Well, there you go. So now you got some nice little purples to work with. Let's give you a little bit more variety of a pink too. So let's get a pink. Let's go with maybe a pink like this. This would be similar to like the actual pink 929 from Prismacolor. It's kind of like that one. So maybe you could just fill that in like so. And then if you need a little bit darker of a pink, let's go into your classic mode and let's make it a little bit darker. It's more of a mauve. And I'll add it to your color palette right there. And maybe you can, you know, add a little bit of shading down in there. You could, these are good for lipstick colors too. So if you, these two pinks I just gave you. So if you want to make some lips, you can use this. You know, you can use the same color, but you can use the color palettes on anything. It doesn't have to be my picture. These are yours forever on your iPad. You'll have these colors. So if you want, you can. I mean, you'll be able to use them for anything that you're doing. And they're on all, everything's going to be on my Etsy channel. And if you're not, I mean, if you color a lot, instead of buying all the different palettes and stuff, if you're a patron of mine, you get them free. So you would just go, the link's at the bottom of the video. My Patreon page is, that's how you support artists. And you pay a monthly fee. Right now it's $5, but I'm only allowed for 50 people. And then after 50 people, it's going to go up. Okay, so, but anyway, everything's on there for free. Once you're a member, you just pay that monthly fee, and everything that I upload, you can have it. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now, if you wanted to use some of that purple or that other pink or any of those purples on this flower again, you can just kind of come in here. Maybe you want to add a little purple in there or whatever. Make these little rainbow flowers a little bit more interesting. You can totally use that. Maybe you want to shade in here a little darker. Maybe throw a little on here. Like so. I'm just blending it in so it's not quite so harsh. And then, of course, my favorite is to clean it up. Right? Like so. Okay. So, there are, that's a good little color scheme for you. If you want, and then all the flowers would just look like that, or you can mix and match it. So, like, let's say we want to do this one in more of a purpley tone and tone it from the bottom. So maybe you can just add some purple here. And then we could blend it out. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. My brush is a little bit bigger just to blend it quickly. Okay, and then maybe we can use that pink the other pinks that we had. And I'm going to blend those out. Okay. And then maybe we want to take some light pink. Let me see if this will work. Let's say I made a new layer, right? And I'm going to take a lighter pink, like a nice light pinkish purple, and I'm going to airbrush that color in over here at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to blend it. Okay, now I want to make sure I set this to multiply. There you go. So you can see the multiply, how that works, right? And I'm just kind of adding some color. And now, because, like, let's say I was doing the dark purple and I got, like, over here, and, you know, because I'm just, like, making some crazy little tips. But I messed up this area. So what you do is you just take your eraser and you can go in, and what it'll do is it'll take out all the color, because it's protected down there. So it takes out all the color that you just put in on that particular layer. See how I'm removing it with my eraser, but it's not getting rid of all of it? That's because that was on a different layer. So I'd have to go back down to that layer again and maybe, you know, blend it out or whatever. And then you can start erasing it and adding more of your details and all that. So that's how that works. All right. So if you mess up, you know, you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So I guess that's kind of it for this video. I wanted just to give you an idea of how you know, how it all works, so you can kind of get used to coloring on the iPad. And then the next video I'm going to do will be the whole thing. You can just color right along with me and we could just do it, color it together. Okay, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea. Oh, I do have to show you something else. So what we want to do is, let's say you're working on all these different layers and you want to merge them all together. So you just go here, go merge down. Okay, and when you merge it down, that means all of your layers are all on the same layer page. Okay. So now that everything's on the same, what you won't, like if you covered this over with your eraser like that, you know, it's not protected because it's not on a different layer. If I made that clear, I hope it wasn't too confusing for you. But working with layers, remember, it protects what's underneath it. Just like right here, see how I'm doing erasing tool? It's erasing everything, but it's not erasing the black lines that are down there. It's not erasing those lines, right? It's only erasing the top layer. So this makes it easy when you're working in layers. You just got to kind of get used to it, of how that works, okay? So now that we're all back on the same level, this just gets all cleaned up so that you can see, you know, how the flower looks. And then after you clean it up, you can decide and say, well, I think it needs more on the tips, or, you know, more whatever. You could see it better because you've cleaned it all up nicely. So now you can kind of judge and hold it from far away and say, okay, well, this definitely needs some highlights. So you can just go in here and then you can add a little highlight to it. Just grab your eraser tool, throw in some white, and get your smudge tool and smudge it out. Now remember too, it always works by the size of your brush and the opacity. So if I make it a little smaller, okay, like this, like let's say I go here and I make this eraser a little bit smaller, okay, and then make my smudge tool a little smaller, then I'm working with, it'll not blend out as much because you've turned everything down a little bit, so it's a little bit less of a starkness when you're blending. So you just have to play around with it, with the levels of your blender and your opacities. You know, everyone's coloring styles are different, and so, but that's just how I do mine. So now you want to go in, maybe you want to add some more of that blue. You can just kind of go in and do that. So you just kind of play around and mess around with it until you're fully happy with how your picture looks. Okay, so maybe you want to add a little highlight in there. Okay, and like I say again, you mess around with it and enough until you're happy with how everything looks. This flower here obviously needs a little bit more work on it. So, but you know, like I say, for the purposes of this video, I'm not really gonna do too much of that. I'm adding just a little bit of yellow in here. So you just, like I say, you're just gonna keep playing with it until you're completely happy with how it all looks. Just have fun. See how long this is taking, and I'll tell you the reason. That's because there's the streamline on here is too much. And what I mean by streamline is how much drag the pen itself actually has. So for example, here I click onto my studio pen that I was using, all right, and here's the streamline. So you could see how this, when I'm coloring, it has a little bit of the drag to it, right? But if I turn this streamline down, there's no drag. It's just the actual, you know, you're just coloring away. But like I say, if you add the streamline now see how it sort of like it flows around. So that's another little thing there for you. Okay. So anyway, have fun coloring this little baby. I'm going to start making more stamps for you now and more coloring pages, and I hope you have a good time and have fun. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in there because I read all the stuff. So any questions or anything you want me to do or teach you, or if you don't understand anything, you know, just ask questions and I'll do my best to try to answer you. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching, and see you again next time. Ciao for now.